Welcome to InFocus, the National Policing Institute's monthly conversation series about topics that matter to the police profession. My name is Caitlin Perez, Senior Director of Communications and Marketing, and today I have the awesome opportunity to talk with someone who I admire, the Assistant Sheriff for the Las Vegas Metro Police Department, Sasha Larkin. She oversees special operations, which includes Homeland Security and investigative services. She serves as Intelligence Commander for the Major County Sheriff's Association on behalf of her sheriff. She has a decorated career in more than 2 decades of law enforcement service. She goes all over the world to teach on counterterrorism, community trust, and to say she's actively engaged in efforts to enhance women in policing is likely an understatement. So please join me in welcoming Assistant Sheriff Sasha Larkin.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
So let's get started. I know about your background, Sasha, but tell us, who is Sasha Larkin?
I am a 25-year, passionate, dedicated, visionary police leader that has gotten to really live her dream every day. I have wanted to be a police officer since I was 3 years old. You might not be old enough to remember, but there was a phenomenal TV show back in the 70s and 80s, and it had my heartthrob in it when I was a little girl, Larry Wilcox, and he played this wonderful character, John Baker, who was a police officer for CHIPS. And I fell in love with that show, and something inside of me just woke up and said, I'm going to do that work. And I told my mom, I'm going to be a police officer. And she was like, yeah, okay. And here we are all these years later, and I've never been sorry. Greatest profession in the world.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us. Talk to us a little bit, Sasha, about Las Vegas Metro's philosophy and culture, specifically around women in policing.
I really like that you asked this question, but I want to frame it and just give the listeners a little background before I answer it fully, is that in Las Vegas, we have a really unique setup. We're so lucky because our sheriff is elected. In 1973, Clark County and Las Vegas City merged to become one, which is why we're called a Metropolitan agency. So our sheriff has the benefit of answering to nobody other than the voters. And we have a culture here of 2 things, accountability and transparency. And within that, he's worked very hard to diversify our leadership team and our workforce, and that includes supporting women. About 5 years ago, I came to him and I said, one of my dear mentors, Jan Jones, she was the former mayor of Las Vegas. I said, she's promoting this 30 by 30 initiative, and I think we should join in. And he said, absolutely, do it, take it, run with it. So it's really been the passion that I've been living the last 5-6 years of how do we get more women involved. And I'm so lucky that I have 2. My peers are both female, and they're both remarkable and smart in what they get to do. And the 3 of us together get to have this wonderful team effort of how we're leading this organization. But the 3 of us couldn't be any more different backgrounds, different passions. And I think that's what makes us the best team. So Metro's view on women in policing is that we encourage women, we support women, we mentor women, and not just the commission side. Because we are a sheriff's department, we also have the jail. And we have the opportunity to support and lift up women in the jail. And then we also have a really incredible female civilian workforce, which the truth is, and I know you've gotten to work with my amazing assistant, I wouldn't be where I am today without the support of our civilian staff who do so much great work here.
Awesome. I want to go off script a little bit, and I want to ask you a question about 30 by 30, because
Sure.
I think what we've learned at the National Policing Institute, that 30 by 30 is really a campaign around education. It's not about lowering the standards. It's not about changing the standards, right? So more women can come into the workforce, but it's about educating folks why women are really well suited to do this work. So do you have any thoughts around kind of the importance of 30 by 30 and what it actually means?
I do. And here's what I want to offer to folks is that I don't believe in doing things just because it's a campaign, right? Let's just jump on the bandwagon because everybody else is. It really shines a spotlight on why it's important to have this diversification in the workforce. You know, one thing our sheriff has been very vocal about is that women and people ask me all the time, is it better or worse to go through policing as a female? And I say it's neither. It's neither better nor worse. It's different. Different challenges, different strengths, different weaknesses. But within that, we do bring a different skill set in how we look at problem solving. And Sheriff McMahill always says that he believes if there was 1 or 2 or 3 women on the set on the incident of George Floyd, he thinks it would have turned out different, because we would have looked at it through a different lens, right? Through de-escalation or compassion or any of the other things. And it's a really interesting conversation piece of what do we bring to use of force incidents? How do we look at de-escalation and all of the things that are hot topics in policing today? So the 30 by 30 was a way for us to shine a light and show women, look, we're not only serious about recruitment, we're serious about retention, we're serious about promotion and education. And this initiative just allows us to have the framework to then lean on other police departments. So I get to work with women from LAPD. LAPD does a great job of supporting and promoting women. And so I work with my counterparts over there in ideas, maybe sharing ideas on what they're doing with recruitment. What are you doing with, promotional ideas? And so it really has just been a connective fiber for police departments across the country to encourage one another in the recruitment and promotion efforts.
Awesome. And I think that's actually a great segue into my next question, which is Women of Metro. What is Women of Metro and what makes it so unique?
I love that you're going to let me talk about this because it is my passion. In 2008, my then mentor, Deputy Chief Kathy O'Connor, we were having a conversation about the challenges of promotion. And she said, you know what? We don't do enough to support one another. Let's create a group internally that comes together to help women promote. So we came together and we created the Women of Metro. And as we did this, what we recognized was women, commissioned and civilian, were so hungry for this connectivity. They were so hungry to meet other women that they would never otherwise get exposed to. In an organization our size, we're 6,000-ish, you could go your whole career and never meet someone, right? Unless you happen to see them at the Christmas party or someplace where people are at. And so this was a way for us to meet folks we never otherwise would, collaborate, and then more importantly, say to them, hey, listen, here's the mistakes I made. Please learn from them and let me encourage you and help you through this process. But then what we learned was the community was really hungry to know who makes up the police department, right? Is it only men? Is it only, who is it? And so we put together 3 or 4 large community events a year that the Women of Metro get to do, and we lead and we completely fundraise 100% for, and it's our community give back. And that has been the joy of my career. And if you'll just indulge me, this last Christmas was our 15th year providing all of the toys for the children at Child Haven, which is where we would take children that were removed from a home if the parents were arrested or drug overdosed or imprisoned. We get to take these kids and they put them in Child Haven, which, by the way, is at maximum capacity. And they don't get a whole lot of funding through the state anymore, through the federal government. They're grant funded or private donorship. So we fundraise, the Women of Metro fundraise all year. And then we go and we buy probably close to $40,000 worth of toys. And we take them to Child Haven and we take these kids shopping. And so many of them, Caitlin, have never had Christmas. They've never seen, these gifts, and they're blown away. And then we get to bring women from across the organization to do this. That's what it's about, right? It's about that give back. And so the Women of Metro is, in short, it's a group of ladies on the organization that come together to support one another and enrich the community.
Such a beautiful thing, and for so many reasons that I won't get into, but on just a personal note, and my service and what I do, and I can't thank you enough. I can't. Assistant Sheriff Larkin, I think that's really, really some spectacular stuff that you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about parenthood. You're a mom, I'm a mom, and when I'm asked about work-life balance, I say I don't think it really exists. I don't really believe in balance, because no matter what, one side of the scale is going to tip this way and then it goes back and forth, right? You have to work late one night. There's other days when the kids are sick, so you have to come in early. My theory is maybe we can find harmony between work and home life or motherhood. What are your thoughts on finding harmony?
So it's interesting you chose the word harmony, because I answer this question often when I'm mentoring young ladies, and I tell them, first of all, I agree with you. Work-life balance is a fallacy. It doesn't exist. I call it boundaries. My dear friend who is the CIO of a major corporation, she taught me this, and it's held true until today. Having boundaries at work and at home is what allows us to manage both of them. And then at work, I have boundaries. Here's the times, here's this, here's how I'll manage my phone calls. And it's allowed me to really be able to do both. Now, is it perfect? No. But it gives me the ability to know when I'm pushing up against that boundary of it's too much, right? This is a 12-hour workday, a 15-hour workday. That's past the boundary of what's necessary to keep home life moving. So what I say to the young ladies or folks out there that are listening is it's never going to be perfect. It's not going to be easy. But every day you get to reestablish those boundaries and over-communicate them with the people that need to know, right? Your spouse, your partner, your boss, your peers, your subordinates. I'm always over-communicating where I'm going to be, what I need from them, and working very diligently to delegate, because not only does delegation help me, it helps those that I'm working with grow and rise to the occasion.
Sasha, what do you hope the policing profession looks like in 20 years, 30 years? Do you think there's going to be more women in this space? Do you hope there'll be more women in this space?
I know unequivocally that women are going to see what an incredible opportunity policing is. And here's what I'll tell you. I think we have a couple things on our side. Number one, there's some smart ladies in this generation coming up. And by smart, I mean able to use technology, able to use data-driven information to make decisions. Listen, we shaved our heads because they said, when we came through, they said, okay, ladies, in the late 90s, you guys want the same standards as the guys? We're like, yes, of course we do. They're like, okay, equal pay, equal uniforms, that's good. You're going to have the same standards as far as grooming. We're like, okay, yeah, same uniform, cut our nails short. They're like, oh, no, you're going to shave your head. And we were like, okay, well, let's do it. And I shaved my head. But it did a few things. One, it showed them that I was serious and committed. Two, it was the great equalizer because we all look the same. And three, there was nothing they could do to me to make me quit. Those are the sacrifices that we made. And now women sacrifice on a different level, right? But that's the evolution, because the women that are the leaders in 20 years you're asking about, they're going to be so smart on technology. They're going to be building the drones that we're using as first responders. They're going to be figuring out ways to respond to accidents without a person showing up. Like all of these things, they'll be innovating. So do I think there'll be more women? I absolutely do. And I think they're going to be leading the way in technology and in wellness, because if police departments aren't talking about wellness yet, they're behind the curve, because there's nothing more important in policing today than the wellness of their employees. Because if their employees aren't well, they're probably not treating the community well. And it's something Sheriff McMahill and our organization has made his number one priority, is wellness. And listen, the truth is, Caitlin, after 5 years, 10 years, 15 years in as a first responder, the accumulation of layered trauma becomes so significant that we see suicides at an all-time high, alcoholism, right, divorces, and then layer in there mass shootings, the things that you see, just the traumatic dead children and car accidents. And it's day after day, year after year. And if we're not giving our folks the tools and access and ability and permission, right, the permission to not be well and go through the process of getting well, we're missing the mark. And I think that women are innovating and making it okay. I believe it's going to be totally different. And I'm faithful that the women out there who are extraordinary are going to lead that charge.
I love the way that you frame that. Less about just having diversity in the ranks. That's a beautiful thing. And of course that's going to happen naturally, but it's about the empathy that women illustrate and just the versatility of women in our lived experiences and how we can bring that to a really tough profession. It's the hardest work. It's often the most underappreciated work. And so I couldn't agree more. And I really love the way you frame that.
Thank you. And I hope that women understand too, we're out there every day, right? And I know people say it all the time, but no 2 days are ever the same. You get to meet people you would never otherwise meet. I have friends now in every major religion, of every socioeconomic, of sexual orientation, of everything. And these people are just doing amazing things in our community. And then if you get to help somebody on a daily basis, what it does for your soul is almost hard to describe. I hope that the folks out there that are wondering if law enforcement is a great career, I hope they go on a ride along. I hope they go out and they really see what these folks are doing day in and day out, because it is amazing the work that they get to do. And look, we're the largest mental health care providers in most states. Our jail, largest mental health care facility in the state. And we're really helping a sector that gets otherwise forgotten about, because most communities don't spend a lot of time on mental health. So it falls on us, and right, wrong, or indifferent, we're making a difference there. And I just think that's what a special opportunity for us.
Well, and to see that evolution, I imagine when you entered the academy, you probably weren't thinking about solving societal issues like what your folks are solving now. It was catching bad guys. It was more of that, reactive response, where now you're addressing homelessness and mental health and behavioral health and, the nonprofit you mentioned with the children who are in need. So taking all that into consideration, what you know now, what would you tell 23-year-old Sasha when you got ready, before you buzzed your head, Assistant Sheriff Larkin, what would you have told Sasha back then?
I would have kept note of some of my stories, because there's times that I recall them and I wish I could remember somebody's name, or I wish I could check in on that kid. I would have kept notes, because I would love to be able to tell my kids some of the funny stories that I've probably forgotten. And I would also tell myself that to not forget to have fun in the pockets of time throughout my life, because I'm a really serious person. I'm serious. I'm just very serious. I'm very driven, very ambitious. I'm very I'm a rule follower. I'm all of these things. And sometimes I catch myself not having fun. And I would go back and I would tell myself, don't forget to laugh a little bit more. Don't forget to, do all these things, because this career can, if you allow the negativity to get you, it will. And I would also tell myself to make sure, and this is something that we were told, and it actually worked out well for me, have friends outside of the profession. I've been teaching yoga for 25 years, so I have a whole wonderful group of yoga friends, and, my friends at the gym, and my friends at, my spiritual friends. And so that's really kind of kept me grounded and balanced, is to have not just cop friends, because otherwise you don't get a break from it. And then, not to remember that policing is not who I am, it's what I do, but it's not who I am. And I just think that that's important, because then if you get closer to retirement and you're going to lose your community identity and your purpose, that can be really detrimental for folks. And so to have something outside of this profession is very important, right? Family first, always has to be family first. And then to make sure and have community identity and purpose outside of your career. And I think that will help give you a level of stability and groundedness, and a place to go when your life does fall apart, right? And, we see it, I saw it after 1 October, after we had our mass shooting at the Mandalay Bay. Had I not had a support system in place outside of Metro, I don't know that I would have gotten through that as well as I did. And I always try to get folks to remember that having an outlet that is not alcohol or something dangerous is really important. And, for me, it was always my running shoes and my yoga mat and my spiritual practice. And it really was that ability to assimilate what had happened, digest it, and let it go. So whatever that is for folks is just really important. So don't forget to have an outlet, because it'll save you in the long run.
So wonderful, Sasha. I appreciate your candidness and sharing insights and sharing personal kind of reflections with us as well. We can't say enough about law enforcement in America and what's going on. It's such smart agencies that are being innovative and being smart and thinking about what's next, including Las Vegas Metro. So keep up the great work. Thank you for being here. And for those of you who have tuned in, we hope you continue this journey with us for the next episode of InFocus. Next month, we'll talk about violent crime reduction. Until then, signing off. Hope you have a great day.